Hi, everyone that's joining. I'm going to join in with my partner and then we're just gonna get started. Give me 1 second. Hello, hello, hello. Keep joining. There go my partner. We will begin. There we go.
Hey,
What's
beautiful.
happening? Hi, my love. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm okay. I'm like, what is happening? I don't know, but we're here. My hair
We
look.
are here.
But we here. We here. It was just one of those days, girl. One of those days where we are.
Right. Right. I didn't realize I was logged out. And y'all, when I say I'm horrible with passwords, I'm like, okay, what password? What password? So y'all bear with us. Like when we tell y'all we are literally like getting off work, like coming out of sessions, coming out of class. So when we be like, hey y'all, we here. Like we literally be here.
Like I literally just taught from 5 to 8 and jumped on right after. So, but we here. We here for the
Yes.
people. It doesn't even matter. But we're here. We could just
We are
get
here.
started.
We are here.
So
Yes, yes.
well, hi.
What you say? You know what? Hold
I
on. You
said
know
first of
what,
all,
y'all?
hi. We just started talking. Hello to
Hi.
the people. Hello to you. You are glowing over there.
Yes. You know I've been laying by the pool, honey. That's my self care. I love a tan. I love it. You are glowing too, beautiful.
Thank you so much. So, are you ready to get started?
I am. I see someone put miss you. Express Express and Raya. Express and Raya.
Yes. Oh, that's one of my old students.
Oh,
Miss you too. Thanks
yes.
for joining. Um, okay, so we're gonna just jump in there. Before we jump in there, we have to let the people know this is not therapy. This is a
Mm-mm.
way of us to connect with people. As two licensed professionals, we're gonna give our personal and professional experience and just hope that someone can understand that they can relate to us. We are human and that you are not alone. If you are looking for therapy, please contact us at info@stepscounselingandconsulting.com, or send us a message in our DM and we will get back to you.
That's
Alrighty.
right. Yes.
We jump right
So
into
would you say, Frank? You
I
know
said
what?
we
It
jump
might be me.
into it.
Yes. Am I breaking up at all? Let
Mm-mm.
me know. Okay, good, good. It might be me on my end. Yes, so let's jump in. And so, y'all, tonight the topic is imposter syndrome. And I'm like so excited for this topic because,
Really?
like, yes, because I think we could really share some like realness, friend. Like, I think Dr. Jones and I, for those who are new here, I'm Dr. Hill, this is Dr. Jones. And we really are going to share not only what we know about imposter syndrome, but we're going to also share our experience. So please, y'all comment below. Have y'all ever experienced imposter syndrome? What was it like for you? What type? And if you're not sure what type, because there's 5 types, we'll get into that later tonight. So just to jump it all off, what is imposter syndrome? So, Dr. Jones, I looked it up, right?
Mhm.
And they gave it another word. They called it perceived fraudulence. It
Mm.
involves feelings of self doubt, personal incompetence that persists despite your education, experience, or accomplishment. So basically, you feel like a fraud when you're doing a certain thing, despite what you know. So now that we got the definition out, tell me, have you ever experienced imposter syndrome?
I did. And it's crazy because sometimes you don't realize it until someone else pointed out to you. It
Mm-hmm.
took me to therapy to realize it. And even though like I was in therapy, well, I was the therapist and my clients come to me and we working through it. And usually in sessions I connect with different things and I realize like, oh, I experienced this too. Saying this to myself when sometimes you do a little self-disclosure, but I never really realized it until I'm going to therapy. And I don't think I'm going through it now. But when you
Mm-hmm.
discuss certain things in the past,
Mm-hmm.
it made me realize like was I going through that moment. I think one of the things were you and I where we were like at first it was like, okay, we get our masters and that's it. We good where we're at
Mm-hmm.
before we started out getting our doctorate. And I think one of the reasons why um I wanted to stop at my master's because I felt like that was it. Like I felt
Uh-oh, it
like
was breaking up a little
um,
bit. Uh-oh. You know,
can you hear me?
hey, yes, it was breaking up. I'm so sorry.
Yes.
It broke up at the part at Masters. And it might be my end, y'all. Let us know if it's breaking up for y'all.
Yeah, please let us know. I was saying you and I, for those who don't know, Dr. Hill and I, we met in our master's program and we were just like became instantly in sync. And at first it was before we started talking about obtaining a doctorate, we were saying, okay, we get our master's and that was it. And for me,
Mm-hmm.
it was like the master's is good enough, which I'm not knocking no one who has it, but I didn't see myself getting a doctorate. You know what I mean? It was like
Mm-hmm.
it's still kind of being at the odds with your masters. You're good enough, but I didn't really see myself there. And I
Yeah.
felt like I was like kind of settling. And then you and I encouraged each other to go for our doctorate. And I
Mm-hmm.
kept it back. And then one day you called me and you was like, friend, why we keep waiting? And I was like, well, I want to go on this trip and I got to do this. Like I had every excuse in the book not to start
Mm-hmm.
the doctorate. And you was like, no, we're starting. And I don't think I ever got to actually thank you for that. Like
Oh.
you are the reason that I started. Like I have other people, mentors and stuff that push me to say, okay, actually I'm going to do it. But you actually pushed me to start it earlier than anticipated. So I don't think I ever told you that, but thank you. I really appreciate. I really appreciate it. And when I look back at it, I think that was imposter syndrome because I was looking for an excuse. I was settling for where I was at. And you was like, no, friend, like, no, we're starting in April. And I was like, I'm not. I
All
was like,
aggressive.
talking about I got a trip in my head. Girl, I started talking. I would never forget this conversation, and I was
Yes.
like, "You're right." And because of you, we are doctorates.
We're
Well, we
doctors.
have our
Yes.
we are. Y'all, it's been a long day. Just whatever I say, just make it make sense to you.
We rolling with it. Look,
Make it make
look.
sense.
As we talk about overcoming imposter syndrome, you better overcome those mistakes. Y'all better
Really?
roll with it. We ain't trying to be perfect.
Exactly. Exactly. How about you?
Mm-mm.
Did you experience that?
Yes. Okay. So definitely number one, you're welcome. And thank you also to you because we motivate each other. And that's the thing with imposter syndrome. You do got to have that support system that kind of like shakes you up and says, like, no, you can do this. So I
Hmm.
think for me, I experienced it as a counselor and as a business owner. So for the business part, as I talk about us motivating each other, like y'all, we'll keep it all the way real. We used to be so nervous to do these lives, and we're not even going to kick it to you like we're just all the way confident every time. Like we still are like, okay, let's pray, let's make sure we do this, make sure we do that, and of course we put God in the middle of everything. That's just us.
Right.
But it's also we had to like find a way to really calm our nerves. Like,
Hmm.
friend, we was like, why are we so nervous?
Absolutely.
Excuse me, y'all, I'm getting over my allergies. Let me get some water real quick. Look. And this used to be something too. We used to be like, can we drink on
I
camera?
know, right? We care so much about
Things y'all
ridiculous.
probably wouldn't even notice. But as business owners, we wanted everything to be perfect. And we wanted people to know, like, we genuinely want to help. And so we would get in our heads, like, is it enough? Do we know enough? Are we giving enough? Excuse
Mm-hmm.
me, y'all. I gotta get some more water real quick. Look, we just all I've been talking all day, you guys.
Listen, those sessions be serious.
Listen, when you talk all day, I'll be like, oh, I'm sorry, y'all, by the end of the day. Sounded like them commercials. But but yeah, so I would just say as a business owner, that was the biggest thing, that perfectionism. So yeah, we still experience it. And I would say two things that helped me. One was a quote that said, stop trying to please man and just please God. And
Mm-hmm.
once I realized that, I was like, for me on a spiritual level, that's when it was like, okay, you know what? As long as it just shows that I'm trying, obedient, as long as you and I are doing the right thing and we know that genuinely we want to help people, this is our main intention by this, you know what? We might not get 50, but we might get one.
Right,
So
right,
I would
right.
say that was one thing that was definitely like, okay, that kind of helped. And I will also say just really us talking to each other
Mm-hmm,
and
mm-hmm.
just like saying like it's okay. What do you think? How do you feel about it?
About our lives, or about which part?
About getting over that imposter syndrome as a business.
And I'm surprised I didn't think about that because you and I actually talk about that a lot, and we definitely get in our own head a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm
Yes.
grateful that thus far we're never on the same page with that.
Mm-mm.
So when you're in doubt mode, I'm the one like, nah, friend, think about it for a second. Maybe we do this, that, da, da, and vice versa. When I'm in doubt mode, you're like, I don't know, friend. I feel it. I feel it. Like, I'm gonna pray on it. I'm gonna sleep on it. I was meditating this morning.
Yeah.
What happened? So I'm grateful that we're never on the same page when it comes to that. Because if so, I don't think we would be where we are now with the business. So
Yeah.
having an accountability partner, and let me say this, not everyone knows that they are experiencing imposter syndrome. So if you're on this live and it's like you're connecting to it, maybe you are currently suffering with mental health. I
Right.
mean, okay, imposter syndrome. And I use the word suffering because most times when you're going through imposter syndrome, you're holding yourself back and it's suffocating you. And this is why I'm using
Right.
the word suffering. So don't think, I'm trying to make it negative. But again, as you can see, we experience it as well. But I just wanted to highlight that. Like if you
Yes.
connect with this, you may be currently experiencing imposter syndrome. And some people never really heard that term, but it is a real thing. So if you're holding yourself back or for self-doubt or for, and we're gonna go through the different types of syndromes. Like this is your first sign, right? Now, once you recognize that you are suffering with imposter syndrome, it's really helpful if you have an accountability partner. Now,
Right.
your accountability partner have to be two things: positive and optimistic. If they're negative,
Yes.
you're choosing the wrong imposter wrong accountability partner. Now, I'm not saying you also need that friend that's going to keep it real with you, like, okay,
Right.
you're not being realistic, you know what I mean? um,
Right.
and when I say realistic, I mean, like, I don't know, I can't think, but something like you want to go buy the house next door, but your credit's at a 400. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
maybe
Like,
we
friend,
need to,
maybe we might need to try next year.
right. So I'm not saying have a person that's going to let you get away with, anything, but you want to, let me say three things: realistic, one; positive, two; and optimistic account
Yes.
partner, because otherwise they're going to be going through the same thing you're going through, and you guys are just like the blind leading the blind. So I think
Yes.
my business partner as my accountability partner, and having a great support system around me in general, I think definitely helps me. But as therapists, we still go through it. I think, and I started off saying, well, I don't think I go through it, but you made me realize that I do. And I think I said I don't think I was going through it because I don't think I go through it as I once did, as with becoming a professor and becoming a
Mm-hmm.
counselor. So I forgot about the business owner aspect. But in those areas, I don't think I'm no longer suffering that. Like now I'm at a point where I appreciate experience, and experience is becoming, my best friend and has become.
Mm-hmm.
So in those areas, and I've learned to be honest with my, clients. Like if they tell me something about their culture or something like that, I used to feel like lack of confidence to say, well, I'm not too familiar with that part of your culture. Can you explain more? I used
Mm-hmm.
to feel like I'm not being a good therapist, but I've learned they want to hear and be, when you act like you're someone
Right.
you're not, or someone put up a front and then you say something that sounds crazy, you ruin the relationship. So things like that, I've learned to be honest, like, hey, can you tell me a little more? And they want to connect with you,
Right.
with you. So I've learned to use that actually to my advantage. Now, when it comes to
Yes.
this, we have not perfected it. We are trying, and I think we try to become perfectionists in that area. Like Dr. Hill pointed out, like if y'all see us before this lives, like y'all would be like, y'all, y'all do. But
Because we be like, okay, friend, we got this. Whew, let's do this.
y'all don't understand. But then we're learning and we're still going through it. And then, we're practicing not comparing ourselves to other people, and things like that, and taking it day by day. But we're getting better, but we still need to work on it.
Yes, yes. And that's why I wanted to definitely put that out there with business imposter syndrome, because we don't ever want to come off like, even though we're therapists, like everything is just rainbows, peaches. We can give ourselves counseling sessions and we're good. No, you do go through it as a business, and especially with perfectionism, or especially even like asking for help, asking your team like, "Hey, can you help me with this?" I would say when you are in this business, it actually helps other people who go through imposter syndrome when you're honest about it. Like, for
Hmm.
example, I love Little Duval. That man is hilarious to me. I
Yeah.
love me some Little Duval. And there was one post where he had put up where he was like, I still get nervous before every show.
Hmm.
Like, I still get butterflies and I'm still nervous, but I just do it. And once I do it, I'm done. And it
Hmm.
was something I needed to hear. Like, you know what? The nerves are still going to come. That doesn't doubt my wisdom. That doesn't doubt my experience or what I do know. I might not know it all, but I can at
Hmm.
least try. So,
Hmm.
yes, I definitely want to share the business part that sometimes imposter syndrome does come up. So, I think
Hmm.
for me, that's how I experience it. Now, personally, as a counselor, I won't say I experienced it as much as I did when I was a school counselor. And I'm going
Hmm.
to share why. As a school counselor, I think there was a lot of times where I had to try and prove myself a lot of times. And what I meant was like, you have a lot of people that feel like they already know,
Hmm.
another form of imposter syndrome.
Yes.
From that, I had like, it was almost like I had to prove that I knew what I was talking about, or I'm pulling out the American School Counselor Association handbook, like things like that. And I would say when I started to kind of feel that imposter syndrome of like doubting my knowledge is
Hmm.
when I said I got my undergraduate degree from an HBCU. Now, mind you, before becoming a school counselor, I love coming from Savannah State. I do now. And I was like,
Hmm.
I come from HBCU. But I will say, working in that school and everybody's coming from these top PWIs, and then the only HBCUs they do know is like Howard, FAMU. No shade to anybody who's went there, but we
Hmm.
all know you. We all know
Right. Right.
the top HBCUs that always get picked. And I started to almost question my degree. Like,
Hmm.
dang, I did have options to go to another school. Like, why didn't I think of that? Why didn't? And I had to like really check myself, like, girl, you love Savannah State.
Right.
Like, you loved your experience. You learned so much. And if anything, there's a lot of successful people that came from Savannah State or HBCUs, period.
HBCU.
Right. So I know for me, that was a personal imposter syndrome that I went through as a school counselor. Was I was like doubting my education because I went to HBCU, and I look back on that like, dang, like that environment really had me in my head. So sometimes imposter syndrome, you can be perfectly confident and in an environment or a corporate job or being the only Black person or a
Hmm.
person of color
Or
or
the young person.
woman or, or the youngest person.
I've been
Because
there.
ageism is real.
It is.
Ageism is so real when you are the youngest one and people are like, oh, you think you know, things like that. So that's another thing about imposter syndrome. Sometimes it's not something that's like ingrained in you, like naturally. Sometimes it can be your environment
It
that
can.
really has you stuck in your head. So that
Hmm.
was my personal experience.
And you know what too? It's also the not knowing. Like I actually had a client
Mm-hmm.
who admitted that she hasn't started her business because she's afraid to fail. And my question was, what would failure look like to you?
Mm.
And some people can't even answering. I told you, y'all, I'm getting it together.
It's
Some
been a long day, y'all. We've been working all day. Look,
people cannot even answer that question, but they just think of the word fail and all automatically they get scared. But you ask yourself, what would failure look like to you? Is
right.
fail your business not being successful in the first 6 months? Well, a lot of business are not successful in the first 6 months because you still have to learn
Yes.
mistakes. Is it that you scared that you're going to not be able to afford it? Well, did you come with a savings plan? Like you need to really sit there and think, what is failure going to look like for you? If your reason to
Right.
say starting something or you quit too early is because of failure, is failure that your family haven't been support you? Well, let me be the first one to tell you, they may support you the first week. After that, you're on your own. You're going to get more support from strength. And I mean, that's just,
Strangers.
you know what I mean? You're going to get more support from strangers. So if that's what you're focusing on, we're not like you focus on the wrong thing. So if you're on this call today, I want
Right.
you to ask yourself, what would failure look like to you?
Look like. Yes.
You need to answer that question. And then ask, like, would it be that bad? Like, what is worst case scenario, right? Um, and you may have, most businesses have a low period, but you're supposed to learn from it. Or whether it's,
Yes.
let's not, you want to talk to entrepreneurs because there's some people who do not want to be an entrepreneur, and I don't think entrepreneurship is for everyone. But whether it's for you to go after other job or start this school, what is holding you back? Like I think,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't mean to take it to society and stuff, but today we're waking up with it's something different happening in the news every single day. And at this point, it's like I don't even
Yes.
media. I don't want to listen to the news. I want to focus on positivity. So at this point, I feel like everyone needs to be in a space where they could do something positive for their self to avoid,
Yes.
the negative thoughts and anything. But all those who are suffering, and we're about to go into the different types of imposter syndrome,
Yes.
but if you're not working towards your goals, why? Or if you're feeling like you're settling, because imposter syndrome, you could maybe working towards your goal, but you're doing the bare minimum. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
Staying in comfort.
it's different levels of it. I want you to
Yep.
sit here and I want you to ask yourself, like, why? Why? Like, we need to get past this why. And once you answer the question why, the next question needs to be answered is like, okay, so where do I go from here? You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
I hope today this live encourage somebody to be like, I've been tripping. Like I'm not no longer going to be my worst enemy. Like
Right.
let's
Right. I've been
go.
standing in my own way.
Absolutely. Dr. Hill, can you
Hmm.
explain the different type of imposter syndrome?
Yes. Yes.
Identified. It's not only self-doubt. There are different levels. So I think we need to explain it to people so they could be like, oh, that may just be me.
Yes. So there's actually 5 types of imposter syndrome. So we got the perfectionist. I feel like I connected to that one so much. So the perfectionist is the one basically, and I'm just going to sum it up, but definitely I want you guys to do y'all research and see what you really connect with after these lives. So the perfectionist is the one that feels like no matter what they're doing, it's just not enough. Can I take this to the next level? How can I take this to the next level? It's just not enough. The second one is the soloist. And the soloist is the person they just rather do everything on their own because they hate asking for help. They feel
Mm-hmm.
like if they ask for help, it might look like they're weak or that they don't know any better. Or you just are so used to just always handling things on your own that it's almost foreign to ask for help. Um, and even though, and I will say this as I point to myself with the soloist, it doesn't mean you don't have a support system. A lot of times the soloist has the
Have
biggest
a
support system,
major support system.
but they just, it's hard to ask for help. So that's number two. The third one is the superhero. And the superhero is feeling like, how can, again, how can I take it to that next level? Not feeling like what they have is enough. How can I rescue this and make this better? Then we have the natural genius. And this one I found very funny because you ever meet someone that just swears they know it all? And that is actually a form of imposter syndrome. That definitely is. And then the last one is expert. And the
Mm-hmm.
expert feels like what they know is not enough. So how can I learn more? And
Mm-hmm.
that can sometimes show when like people are continue to keep going back to school for a lot of degrees or a lot of certifications. It almost reminds me if you guys ever watched the show Girlfriends, and do
Mm-hmm.
y'all remember how Lynn always was had a new job, always had Lynn was so smart, but had like several degrees and did absolutely nothing with it. She
Mm-hmm.
always felt like she had to keep going back. And if y'all haven't watched Girlfriends, y'all missing out. Y'all need to go on Netflix. Because that was a classic. But you can also have imposter syndrome where you feel like you just, you know what, I can start that business once I finish reading all 5 self-help books and I go
Mm-hmm.
to that training. And then once I spend $500 and go to that workshop, I can definitely execute my website. And there's
Mm-hmm.
nothing wrong with planning, but are we planning to push to make excuses? So
Right.
those are the 5 types. And definitely check out our latest post. We put more of an explanation for each type. And again, do your own research if you're connecting with this.
Mm-hmm.
So as I list out these 5, y'all comment down below to see if you tell us if you connected to any. Friend, Dr. Jones, did
Yeah,
you
I wanted
connect
to
to
comment
some?
on those that you said, especially the
Yes.
last one you mentioned, like going back for education. And I'm gonna promote. You know me. I promote it, right? Especially in I feel like we have to constantly. It's something new happening in the news, so we constantly in training. We have to, for our license to keep up, and we have to, but to also keep up with our clients, we
Yes.
have to, right? But what Dr. Hill is saying, people keep going back for this education, and it's more using it as an excuse why they haven't started because they're like, oh, I got to go back for this, or this still isn't good enough, or the people want to see more letters after my name before they hire me. The people want to see this before I start this. So get as much education if you're going to put it to use. Like, don't waste your money and time if you know you're just using it for an excuse. And then some people want to do it just to make themselves look good to other people. Like, I got this, I got this, I got that.
Right.
I had someone in class like that. Like, I ain't gonna call them out, but they had 2 doctorates. Who? I don't know if this is
Right.
ethical for me to say, but who? You got two
Right.
doctors? Like,
Y'all, this is one of our
listen,
classmates.
listen. I'm not shading anyone. 2 masters I get, especially when you have a different career goal or some jobs switch things, but two,
Right.
you could only record doctorate one time. Like,
Right.
what we doing, sir? You know what I mean? But he admitted he wanted it because he wanted. What was the words he used to us? He wanted to be better than everyone. I don't know, but basically,
He wanted to basically have two doctorates. I think that was like in a roundabout way.
yeah, like, and it felt like it would have one up on someone, but you
Right.
could only have DR in front of your name. You know what I mean? One time. You understand what I'm saying? Um, that's one. Two, I feel like you're also those who go from like job to job to job. You know, you're setting yourself up for an unstable environment. I don't think you're
Right.
realizing what you're doing. And again, it's a difference between trial and error so that you can find out what you actually enjoy doing, right? So I'm not saying you
Right.
can't jobs to figure out what you like. But if you're doing job to job just because, or you're hurrying up to quit because you feel like you're about to get quiet. I'm telling you, I'm gonna get it together. Fired. Um, things.
And imposter syndrome may hold you back. Keep going, sis.
Hello. Things like that. What you don't want is instability.
Right.
You want to get to a place that's what's going to lead you to becoming stable. Like a stable environment is so important for you mentally and physically. So if your imposter syndrome is impacting you, that you're now in an unstable environment, that's now become unhealthy for you, right?
Yes.
We need to figure out how we can put an end to this imposter syndrome that's going to help you come to a situation where you are now in a comfortable environment and stable. The last thing I want to comment on is imposter syndrome, those soloists, right? So I'm definitely guilty of it. And I think if you are a soloist, you kind of fall into a perfection area because a lot
Oh
of
my
people
gosh, yes.
are soloists. And those who are just joining, we just explain different type of imposters syndrome. Um, when you're a soloist because you don't want, you can get the job done and you feel like
Mm-hmm.
someone on it is not going to be done correctly. And because you are a perfectionist, you want it done a certain way, so you're not going to ask for help. And you don't want somebody to feel like you're weaker or da da da. Like me, I got this. I don't need no help. And what made me stop is when I went through postpartum. Going through post because when I first had my daughter, it was like, I don't know. I don't need you to come over. I don't need no help. I don't got to.
Right.
My baby was and still is a good baby. But when I was pregnant, I obtained my doctorate pregnant, right? Then when she was born, I was still in school. So I was newly new baby, finished her doctorate, then got my doctorate, trying to run a business. Then we bought a house. So trying to get a house together, like, and I'm still like, nope, don't need help. Nope, I
Mm-hmm.
got it. And you even like, friend, if you need time off, take it. I'm like,
Yep.
nope, don't need no time off. Nope, I can handle it, friend. Friend, I got it. And then one day I just
Yeah.
had a whole breakdown. And it's not like I don't have a bomb support system. It's not like my boyfriend, her dad is not like the best ever. You know what I mean? It's just like,
Right.
nope, got it. Nope, I'm gonna cook, I'm gonna clean, I'm gonna do laundry, I'm gonna take care of my daughter, I'm gonna run my business. And then I had the nerve to then become a professor. Like what
Right.
what are we doing here? But that's just I just never felt like what I always wanted more. I always had to do
Yes.
more. And it breaks you down. It breaks you down. So that was another reason I had to be like, okay. Hence, in therapy, helped me realize that it might be imposter syndrome. Hence, you holding me accountable to help me. So imposter syndrome is real, and some people think because they're confident, there's no way that they could be going to do imposter
Right.
syndrome. That's two completely different things. You could be a confident
Right.
person, like you could look in the mirror and be happy with who you see, but that does not mean you're not suffering with imposter syndrome. So please,
Right.
all you know it alls, all you I got this, or sometimes you may be actually the one going through imposter syndrome. So I really want people to start doing a self-evaluation and see where you stand. What are your thoughts about
Yes.
all that I just said.
No, I agree. I definitely agree, especially perfectionism. A lot of times people don't think that is imposter syndrome. They feel like, no, I'm pushing myself to the next level. And yes, granted, it does push you, but everything has a balance. Everything has a balance. Things can be unhealthy if you do it too much. So I completely agree. You really gotta evaluate and
Right.
really ask yourself. And another thing with imposter syndrome, don't be ashamed, right? And I'll be very, very honest. This isn't something that before this live, well, I'll take that back. It was actually a group where someone on Facebook had said they had imposter syndrome. And I was like, you know what? I don't want them to feel alone. So I was like, you know what? I dealt with imposter syndrome and you can't get through it, da 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 da.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would say before that, maybe this live, I didn't really talk about it. I
Mm.
didn't talk about the fact that I am a perfectionist and that is a form of imposter syndrome. I don't
We never
really
use the term
vocally
to each
say like
other.
yes before. No, no. Even
Mm-hmm.
with us getting nervous before our lives, right? Like no one would know. And so
Right.
I think sometimes, a lot of times, people keep that inside like it's a shame. And it's not really, honestly, if you really share it with others, like, yeah, I did go through it, or I do experience it from time to time. Because that is another thing with imposter syndrome. It can hit you, you be fine. Then it might hit you 2 years from now in a different season of your life. Doesn't
Right.
mean you're regressing. It just
Mm-hmm.
means it might be a new thing that we have to work through. So just with imposter syndrome, don't have shame. Know
Mm-hmm.
that so many people, so many confident people, so many people that are out there in the limelight, they deal with it. They
Mm-hmm.
definitely deal with it. So, with me saying that, for those who are on this live, please comment below if you have. And I guess that can lead into the next thing. For those who have dealt with it, how do you cope? What
Mm-hmm.
were ways that you coped? So I'm going to turn it over to you, Dr. Jones, as people are thinking. I'm going to throw that out there. As people are thinking and typing,
I love
imposter
you.
syndrome is not holding us back tonight. So as they're typing and thinking, Dr. Jones, what are ways that you can cope, or what are ways that you have coped?
I think the first step is to recognize that you are actually dealing with imposter syndrome. Like you can't deal with
Yes,
it if you realize that you are currently going through imposter syndrome. Like you're your own worst enemy. So I think for me it's recognizing um
mm-hmm.
signs. Like for me, when I start trying to overwork myself, start feeling like where I'm at in life is not where I want to be. Like I'm a goal setter, and sometimes I put um time on, and it's not wrong to set a timeline, but if I don't meet that timeline, I'm like beating myself up. Like I should have
Yes,
this, or I should have did this, or I wanted to save this amount by this. You know what I mean? Like I start tripping. You know what I mean? And I start,
right.
all type of things. So for me it was like recognizing the signs that I'm starting to go through it. And then what we mentioned earlier, having a accountability partner. Like I don't
Yes,
think your support system is great. Having like you as a business partner is dope. And when I say
yes, same to
support
you.
system, like you have people that you could talk to, right? But it's good to have someone that not only you could talk to, but you can relate to, right? You don't
Yes,
let me talk for me personally. I don't want to hear that, I don't know, like that just cliche, some stuff like that. Like I just want to know the real, like, yeah, this happened, but I could be my authentic self. Um, Also having someone I could vent to about what I'm going through, and they don't make that conversation about themselves. You ever talk to
yes.
people and all of a sudden like you forgot what you was there for the motivation, and now
They made it about them. Yep.
no, I can't, I don't need that, right? Like there's nothing wrong giving an example, but now I'm back to there being their
Right.
therapist. I'm like, this is why I don't talk to anybody else on the phone besides my clients, because now I'm your therapist. And no,
Yep.
we're
We
not
done
going through
switched.
that.
Right.
not calling you for 2 months. But
Right.
but those are the things, like self-awareness, like someone just said, is
Yes.
self-validation, someone else, which are
Yes.
great. Thank you, ladies. Um and I started journaling.
Yes.
That helped me. I mean, since I got pregnant, I got kind of slowed down, but I picked it back up with getting up early with the self, routine. My wife, we get up an hour early, we pray, affirmations like those that have been helping me so much, like self affirmation
Yeah.
and grounding, keeping myself grounded, things like that has been extremely, extremely, extremely helpful. What about you?
Yes. Yes. So definitely that journaling. I'm just piggyback off what you just left off. Journaling, meditating. Meditation has helped me tremendously, tremendously, tremendously because it just allows you to breathe and ground yourself and make you really realize like, what am I tripping about? Like what is this perfectionism that I'm trying to aim for? Like what is it that I'm already given that I feel like is not enough? And meditation just allows me to really sit in that spot and really get with myself and really ask myself, okay, now taking that out of the picture, how do I want to narrate this story? How do
Hmm.
I want to move forward throughout the day? So that has definitely helped. Books. My favorite book, The Four Agreements. Everybody that is on this live,
Hmm.
please read The Four Agreements. What you say, Maria?
I said I have to get that.
My favorite book. I actually read this book every year, and it got to be a favorite for me to reread a book. But like y'all, when I say I love this book, it's by Don Miguel Ruiz, and I highly recommend getting it off Amazon because some bookstores be tripping, and they'll charge you an extra price. So I definitely recommend going Amazon. This is not sponsored. It will be one day.
Yeah, ma'am.
One day. But I would definitely recommend that book. And I've even gotten to the point that sometimes I'll pray and be like, you know what chapter do I need to flip on? And
Mm,
I'll like do like one of those like browse through the book. And whatever I land on, I read. Y'all, please read The Four Agreements. It is a great book of really getting out of your way. Another book that I would recommend is Get Out of Your Head by Jenny Allen. Now,
hmm.
with that book, I will share that that has a lot of religious components in it. It has a lot of scriptures. And so, of course, we don't force religion on anybody. So if that's
Right.
not your jam, I will share with you. It's heavy in that book. But if that is your thing and you want to really not only get over imposter syndrome, but you also want to get in better alignment spirituality, highly recommend that book. And then last but not least, our own book, From the Girl Next Door. It's
Oh,
also available on Amazon. It's not sponsored, not yet. But that is also that is also on y'all know I play all day. I play all day. But that's also on Amazon. And in that book, Dr. Jones and I share a lot of our own personal experience of getting over things. And so it's a great book to just relate to, just to know
yep.
you're not alone. So I highly, highly recommend those books. Someone said, excellent book, Four Agreements. Listen, that is on my top three favorite books, especially getting out of your way. You need to read that. And it's a short book, honestly. So those are some of my things: journaling, meditating, reading, and therapy. I am a therapist with a therapist. We say this all day, therapist. Having someone to talk to, and not just only therapy, having my support group, talking
Mm,
to my friends and being honest. And that goes back to the soloist. I used to be the type I would not share what was going on with me until I hit my breaking point. And then they'd
hmm.
be like, dang, E, you kind of snappy. And I'd be like, damn, yeah, I am. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I've been trying to do it all. And I was doing that with everyone. Someone said, can I borrow yours? Yes, you can borrow. Yes, you can borrow mine. Yeah, that's my mom. Yes, you can borrow mine.
Hey, mom.
But hey, mom. Hey, mom. Yes, you can borrow. But I still recommend everyone get their own copy. But I got you, girl. But definitely, because that is a book. sometimes you got to write some notes in the book so you can
Mm-hmm.
come back to it. So
Mm-hmm.
yes, so that is how I cope. Anybody else? How do you guys cope with imposter syndrome or perfectionism or asking for help? Hey, ladies.
While people are writing, I do want to, because I feel like I see a lot of new people just join. I feel like we need to go over takeaways because I feel like this is important live. So if you just join, we're talking about imposter syndrome, and we talked about in the beginning asking yourself why haven't you started, whatever your goal is, whether it's to go back to school, start the business, a career change, whatever it is, and we discussed a lot of people are scared of failure when they don't even know what failure will look like to them. So you need to identify
Right.
what exactly you are afraid of and then figure out how can you face those fears and see if you could have an accountability partner to help you um, face those fears. We also discussed a type of imposter syndrome, which you could go back to our page. It has been posted today, and you can read about the different imposter syndromes. But we want you to stop being your own worst enemy. We want everyone to be.
Yes.
So we want you to really start identifying if you are suffering with imposter syndrome, and it could be your environment. It could be you're intimidated by people, or it could be people are actually intimidated by you, and they now have flipped it on you.
Yeah.
It could also be gaslighting. Some people are in relationship with gaslighting, which then contribute to imposter syndrome, and that could be a whole nother live. um,
Right. Not only just relationship, a job can gaslight you too.
Absolutely. You could have a supervisor that's intimidated by your skills and start making you feel like you're not good enough. It's so many things and people out there, and
Yes.
most confidence in the world, but like when you're either the oldest in the group or the youngest in the group or the only black person in the group, the only minority, it's so many things that could stop you. Or when you feel like you're not where you want to be in life, you start doubting yourself altogether and feel like it's too late to start, it's too this, or you figuring out
Right.
and some people I feel like not giving a failed trial. Like you try something for 3 months and it's not working. You're like, up, it's not working. We got to give up. Like, stop looking for the easy way out. So it's just we touched on a lot of different things, and we want you guys to do self-evaluation. Like it's time to do a self-evaluation to see where you're at and where you want to be.
Yes. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, it's breaking up a little bit. Yeah, it was breaking up a little bit. Someone said can't hear. It was just breaking up a little bit towards the end. Yes, I can hear you. It was just breaking up just a little bit.
Just reiterating for the new people that
Yeah.
join. Someone said I have a tendency of procrastination. I don't think we discussed that, and that's a major one. I can't believe we didn't discuss that. Procrastination. Did we discuss that today?
Yes. So that sometimes that procrastination can really be perfectionism. You
That's
feeling like it's not perfect enough, so we keep stalling on it, or feeling like the expert, where
mm,
you feel like, no, I got to do this, or I got to get this done, or if I don't do this, then I won't be able to do this. So in a way, procrastination can be mixed in between these five, because why, again, it goes back to why are you procrastinating, and
mm-hmm,
what are you afraid that will happen once you take action, or what is that blockage that's preventing you from taking action.
mm-hmm.
Identify what that blockage is.
Yep. And sometimes people keep moving forward with the easy task and skip.
It's breaking up again. Okay. Yes, it came back. It came back. Yes. Right. That's why I laughed.
Failure, a comfort zone. So we want you to get out your comfort zone.
Yes. Someone else comment. Let's see. Oh, it won't let me scroll. Can you scroll?
Yep, it
Because
said
I'm,
thanks,
I guess, on.
ladies. Needed this today. Self-reflection time. Oh, thank you. We glad. Did
Yay! Breaking up a little bit. I'm sorry, Dr. Jones, you're breaking up. Right. I had to turn my Wi-Fi off because I'm like, what's going on? I'm sorry. Can you repeat that comment one more time? You're frozen. Yes. Yes.
I,
Can you
I took
repeat that
mine.
that
I took
comment
mine
from
off
that
too.
person?
We having all the technical difficulty issues at the end. They don't want us to be great tonight. Can you hear me?
I know. Yes. Yes, I can hear you. Can you repeat that one?
I was repeating what someone said. It says